Here I am. Hi, you guys. It's Jane. It's hard to go after Kim and Tammy. They are everybody's so talented, and they're super talented. And wait till you see Joni. She is amazing. I'm going to put a little light on. I am in, as I said before, let's see if this helps a little bit, Blizzard Alley. So I'm in Connecticut. So we have a blizzard going on. I'm right on the border in eastern Connecticut of that. And I'm watching those big oaks waving. So hopefully this is all gonna be okay. All right, so I'm going here. So what I want to show you guys, these are my houses. I have 5 houses, and I just kind of created these little shapes, and my husband cut them out for me. Much like Tammy's husband, my husband doesn't want me using power tools. But here they are, and I used the paint inlays, the Iron Orchid paint inlays. So that's one of the techniques I'm going to show you today, and we're using the Grisaille Grisaille toile, and it's really beautiful. So that's what I'm going to show you. Unfortunately, I'm out of stock because I kept talking about these inlays and I sold out. So they'll be coming back. So I'm going to get these out of the way, and I'm going to show you how to do this. And I love these paint inlays. There's nothing like them. Hey, from Ohio. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Erica. Lori. God, it's amazing. I'm just always so amazed how this big giant country, we all come together in these groups. I just love it. Oh, you've been wondering about these, Lori? I love them. I love the paint inlays. I'm like a nut for these. Let's see. I made notes because you know me. If you know me, I go off trail here. So I'm going to be painting this little white house. All right. You got 2 inches in Virginia. Oh, she's thanking me for doing this. Well, I actually love the drama of the snow and the blizzard. But man, once those big oaks, those really old oaks start rocking in the woods, I'm like, please don't come down on the line. Hey, hi, Glendon, Arkansas. I heard it's chilly down there too. Oh, I love the drama of the weather until I lose the ability to flush the toilet. We have a well, so that's where I get crazy. And when we lose power, we can't use the bathroom. How Idaho, hi Jean. I know Idaho gets tons of snow. We drove out to California and Oregon gets tons and tons of snow. We drove to California. I lived out in Northern California for a few years in Marin, and we went through, I think Idaho and Utah. I was freaking out from the mountains. Like everything looked so big and ominous and beautiful that I was like, I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh, Seattle, no rain, but it's cold. You know, I didn't make it up to Seattle, and I wish I did. When I was out in California, I just worked a lot. I had a salon in Mill Valley, and I used to do hair and makeup, so I felt like I was always working. All right. Okay, and actually flipping furniture, I'm not doing the, Tammy, I'm not doing the inlay on white. Maybe I should, but now I can't get my white paint. I'll do one and post it for you, Tammy. I'll do that especially. It'll be Tammy's paint inlay house, all right? So when I use paint, now I'm using a pure chalk paint with no top coat because I find for me it works the best for the inlays. When I'm using paint, I don't put my brush into the paint because you introduce all kinds of crap into the paint, and you can ruin it, especially white. So I'm going to show you what I did. Yeah, mountains. Yeah. Hi, Verla. Hi, Cheryl. Mountains in the snow. Oh my God. We went over Donner Pass. It wasn't snowing, but holy cow. And I'm obsessed with the Donner Party. So Tammy's like, I thought you were going to put it on the White House. That's right, I'm painting this to show them. So you guys, when I paint, even with these bright colors on raw wood, these are raw wood, I do a coat of white first. I have some just white chalk paint because the color looks a little more saturated and bright that way, I find, than if I put it right on the raw wood. So that's what I'm doing. So I put the white on, let it dry, and then I just brush on, this is called Flamingo. I just brush on the paint with my little 1-inch brush, which I love. And then what I do is I have a big sheet of wax paper. I put these down on wax paper and I let them dry. So that, I just wanted to show you guys, and that's, don't you love those custom orders? Yeah, thanks Tammy. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna call it Tammy's Village. Oh, yeah, Idaho, desert, prairie, mountains, and yeah, the most clean, clear spring. Driving across the country really made twice with cats really made me appreciate how absolutely stunning this country is, how huge it is, and how different. We were in Wyoming and it was like being on another planet. All right, so what I do, as I said, this is how I get my houses ready. Put this down on a piece of wax paper because even though I didn't paint the back, I'll do that after the front dries. I don't want it getting lint from the drop cloth I have. I love my wax paper and it won't stick. So I'm putting that over on wax paper. Now, and then I'm dropping my paintbrush into some water. You need a village to keep you in line. Oh God, I can't. I told Tammy and Joni, all of us in the group, Kim, Kata, I want us all to meet somewhere. I said, I'll go to Missouri for some, I think there's some yummy barbecue there. I'm like, I am dying to meet these girls in person because I know we're gonna have a ball. All right, next step is we're gonna be putting on the inlay. So now I have to focus and we're gonna be doing it on this peach colored house that I just put red on. So I get all my sides painted nice and dry, and then we're gonna add a coat of paint, and this is what the inlay is going to go into. So this is a really important coat. For this special occasion, I got out all my new tongue depressors because this is what the paint, this is important because it's what the paint inlay is going to go into. We don't need too much for this one. All right, get rid of that. Now I really put the paint on, really load it on to put the, oh, actually, wait, I skipped a step. Hang on. Tammy, you've got me totally in a tizzy now, in a kerfuffle. There's a fancy word. I have to get the inlay ready. So, go back, I painted all my sides with this peach paint, then you get the inlay, okay? So you're gonna notice there's a whole bunch of pages in here. There's 8 of them. And I'm gonna pick the one I wanna use. And there's a right side that has the paint on it and the wrong side. Okay, you see that? So, Tammy, I know, where are my notes? The best laid plans, right? I write notes, I get myself ready, and then I'm swept up in the drama of the workshop. Okay, So what I do with these is I put the right side down, because that's the side that's going to go into the paint, and I decide, see, as I move it around on the house, what do I want to see? Just like Tammy was doing with the transfers on the house, on my little village house. And I think, yeah, I like that. And this inlay has animals on it too, but the squirrel is actually a little too big. He's a little too long. So I think, and this is what I do, I just kind of roll it around, slide it around until I like it. And then what I do is hold it down. Oh dear, are you guys still seeing me? Let me know. It says my iPad storage is full. So tell me, Tammy, tell me if you keep seeing me. And I'm rubbing around the edge here. All right, I'm waiting for Tammy to tell me because I might have to go off and come back on again. We still see you. Okay, good. So maybe it's not storing it. Tech, right, Tammy? Oh my God. Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Verla. Okay, so I'm rubbing my finger along the edge here, and the reason I'm doing this is going to tell me where I need to cut, because we have to cut this out. So I grab my scissors, and you see how you can see, right, the edges. That's where I'm going to cut. And save all of your scraps, again, like Tammy was doing with the transfers, because you can use these. And you're gonna save your used inlay, because these can be used a number of times over and over again. They get a little faded as you use them over again, but that's really beautiful too. Okay, so I'm just following where I rub the inlay. Now, so here it is, right? And remember, this is the right side. This is the side that's going to go down, because I've read of some people, the comments in some of the groups, that they did it the wrong way. So we want to make sure the paint inlay, the right side, is going to go down into the paint. And you'll know because there's these little dots, little grid pattern on the wrong side. That's going to be up. All right, back to my paint. Okay, and if I start to disappear, somebody could just message me. Oh, here we go. And I'm going to really lay this coat on. Okay. I'm being generous with that paint. And you have to go right up to the edges, being really, really generous. I would say more is good than less. Less is not more in this circumstance. All right. So there it is. I've got that really laid on, right? Put my brush in some water. Then we're going to take this paint inlay and we're going to put it down into the paint. All right. Make sure it's lined up. You've got a few seconds to line your inlay up before it starts to actually set. And then what I do is I have my little brayer, and I've got the Iron Orchid brayers, which I love also in my shop. I'm going to use this to smooth out the inlay, just like this. And I find this really, really helps. I didn't use it when I first started doing these, and this helps a lot to get it down into the paint. I'm not pressing it super hard, but I'm just kind of moving it out. Then what we do, grab one of these fabulous misting bottles and give it a mist. And this really helps with the contact. And then just take a rag. I'm just using it's an old shop cloth. I've been using this all morning. Verla, isn't this a pretty color? I love it too. And I'm just pressing this in. I'm just pressing, making sure very lightly that last we met, I put, yes, I'm back, Lori. Oh, it was my full iPad. It's just iPad. Yay! Oh, my iPad has got to be like, it's got to be 8 years old. So we put the paint inlay on. We sprayed it with a mist of water. I kind of blotted it down, pressed it down gently. This has got to dry at least an hour. That's like one of the most important things because it's got to make that really, really good connection. So I'm going to put this aside. And you guys, I made a bunch this morning that hopefully are nice. Yep, they feel good. I've even let these dry overnight. Oh my God, I'm telling you, tech. How did we, I don't know how, it's amazing how I'm 58 years old and I'm learning all this really techy stuff. Even my sons think I'm crazy. Yay, Tammy, I'm back. And you know, during a blizzard, I have a tech issue. Okay. So once you get your inlays on, so these all have the inlay on, right? They feel pretty good. They feel still a little bit cool. So if you're doing this at home, I would let them dry even more. You know how you could feel that kind of dampness, but I'm going to go ahead, forge ahead, because who knows what's going to happen next. You're going to get that spray bottle. Joni, I made it back. Verla, here I am. We're going to grab our spray bottle and we're going to spray these again. And we're going to wait about 30 seconds. And I'm pretty generous. And I love this misting bottle for this step. And you'll see them get really dark like that, right? Really, you won't see the paper as much. And then I'm also going to take a cloth and I'm going to kind of press that water in a little bit and blot it a little bit. But this is what helps the inlay peel off. All right, I think I need to get a little bit more right up there. Okay. And then the moment of truth. You take the inlay, okay, and start to peel it away. And you have to find a spot, right? So there's, and I'm a lefty, but I'm going to do this with my right hand. And I'm peeling it away. Don't pull it up though. You kind of pull it, let me see if I could get that in there, at an angle. And this happens to me quite a bit. I start to rip right at the edge. And I think that's because I don't miss the edges as much as I probably should. But it's not a big deal. You just go in there and you pull, and there's the inlay pulling out. Look at that. That was a great transfer of the paint inlay. And you just pull it off, and there it is. Isn't that beautiful? Save. So here's the used paint inlay. Save this because you can use it again. Lay it wrong side down and let that dry. All right, and let's do the deep red. Same thing. We're just gonna pull up that corner. Ooh, I just love this part. It's so cool. And there it is. Isn't the one on the red beautiful? Joni, I think it's my favorite one. I love a really blue red. And that's what this is. It's that really kind of cool or neutral red, but isn't that gorgeous? So that was a very good, thank God, a really good transfer of the paint inlay. All right, and then here's our deep magenta. Same thing. Take your time finding that edge to pull. But look at that. There it is. Right? Absolutely gorgeous. And I can't get enough of these. I'm in love with them. So once they're like this, you've got to let them dry. Aren't they, Beverly, aren't they beautiful? I know. I just love them. My son Christopher, I have 3 sons. I have a set of twins, but I call him my middle son. He was the second one out. And then I have a younger son. But he bought a little condo and he painted he's got 2 bathrooms. And one of them is painted. He loves mid-century and bright colors, this color. And he saw this set of houses and he goes, I want a set of those houses for my bathroom. So this set is gonna go and hang in his bathroom. Cheryl, aren't they great? They're so beautiful, I'm telling you. Oh, I know, Verla. This is just, it's a new technology. There's nothing like it around and I'm in love with it. Okay, so once this happens, right, you gotta let them dry. These do have to be finished. Oh, and I'm going to show you how I wax them. I'm going to look at my time. Not too bad, 1:28. Okay. All right. So these have to dry. Then I just wanted to show you something else really. Yeah, Jan, I'm back. Jean, aren't they? They're stunning. I know. I just love them. I wish I could take the credit for the design of those inlays. They're beautiful. But we have the naked backs of these houses. And I thought while I was doing this, because when putting the paint inlays is pretty quick, I thought, well, what could we do with the backs of my little village houses? So I'm going to show you that quickly, or not so quickly, because I'm not doing that badly on time. Your last to take all the time you need. Oh, Joni is so sweet. Joni, I'm good. I think I'm going to be good time-wise. Yeah, and you can use the inlays again, Carla. That is the best. All right, so let me get those out of the way because then I have this other really cool thing. I'm really excited to show you guys. Get these out of the way. So, here are my dry houses. And this is the squirrel. Isn't the squirrel fabulous? And here's the bird. He's so handsome. But I was like, so what can we do with the backs? And let me show you. I decided to draw little houses for a totally different look. And I'm like, yeah, you could just flip them over and they'll be like this. So I'm going to show you how to do this. How cute is that, right? So if you get bored of like the sophisticated, fancy toile, you could flip them over and have this kind of sweet little, it's kind of a little naive drawing house. So let me show you how to do that. What you need, how many times, oh sorry, so Beverly's asking how many times can you use an inlay? So I've only used them twice. I haven't pushed it a third time yet, Beverly, but I'm going to. I'm going to give that a shot. Oh, thanks, Jana. Isn't that cute? The little drawn house. But some people have used the inlays 3 times. And the other one that I have is called, what is it? I think it's called Rose Chintz, and it's got brighter colors. So maybe that's one you can use 3 times, but I love it. Okay, Pat's asking, if reusing the inlays again, do you have to worry about, yes, the paint coming off that you just used on these projects? Yes. So here's one of the ones I just used, right? That's the wrong side. Here's the right side. And a little bit of that can certainly come off again when you're using it again. I found it looks really pretty, but you do have to plan for that. And if you guys go, I have a YouTube channel, Surface Anthology YouTube channel. I did a test. I did a test on different kinds of paints, 3 different kinds of paints, and then different sealers. I used 2 different types of wax and a poly sealer. So you could see how it reacts. Oh, your granddaughter could totally draw the houses on the back. Oh my God, how sweet would that be? Like little heirloom, family heirloom with the grandkids drawing the houses. That's a really, really good idea, Verla. That's really sweet. I would love that. I'm gonna have to get my 3-year-old grandson over. But you do definitely have to be aware that that paint is going to probably come off when you reuse the inlay. All right. So what I do, and I started, let's not use, we'll use a little one. I have these oil, they're oil paint Sharpies, and you shake them up really well, and they're actually oil paint. Okay, so Cheryl's saying, so you need to use a compatible color to what is on the inlay. Yes, definitely, absolutely. And you might get, absolutely, Beverly, I'll give you all the inlay information I can think of. I'm always doing lives, and I love to test things, try them out before I actually use them on like a piece of furniture. And I will share that with you guys. Yeah, you have to think about those colors, especially with these bright colors. But imagine, I'll go back to this really quickly. I'm keeping my eye on that time. Imagine this fuchsia color on like an off-white or a white. It might look like watercolor, right? So it's really great for you creatives that maybe get a little more nervous. Doing a small project like this will really get you out of your comfort zone. It kind of makes you, think out of the box, right? Think outside of the box, do some experimenting and see what happens. And flipping furniture, Tammy, did you mention the part where the chalk paint, the chalk paints work better for the inlays? Is that a thing? All right, so I did a test, and again, it was a whole live I did. And then I did another one. I did the paint inlays, and I carry Amy Howard at Home One Step Paint. That is a chalk paint with a built-in top coat. The paint inlays worked well, but then I did it in a pure chalk paint. This has no top coat in it at all, and I found for me, it worked a little bit better. And it was such a small degree, maybe 10-15% better. And also, the one-step paint was the first one that I tried, right? So it may be that I was a newbie, but I know there are people using Fusion, which is not a chalk paint at all, having great results. The last paint I used that nobody had tried was milk paint, and I love milk paint. The milk paint worked very well, so I was so excited about that. So I've had, Tammy, I've used the inlays with Amy Howard at Home One Step that has a top coat in it, Authentico Vintage, which has no top coat in it, and also Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint, and I loved how it came out. So give it, I think they work pretty well, but you do have to do a test first with what paint line you carry. Kim, aren't these great? I know. And Kim, are you carrying milk paint, right? Are you gonna be carrying milk paint? And you can also use it in, I think you use Farmhouse. They work really well. You just have to get to know your paint line and how it reacts with the paint inlays. All right, getting back to our drawing. And look, this is classic me. You can't be, this makes me bananas, but you have to be careful. I could touch that up with red paint. later. But when you're using all these different colors of paint, you do have to be careful. So you take your Sharpie. I love this. And this is an oil-based Sharpie. And this, I think, is the medium point because it's the only one I could find. And just to give myself a little guide, I used a ruler just to kind of make this triangle here and this line down here. You know, some of the straight lines I used a ruler because I didn't want to totally freehand it. But I just love how this looks, and I'm totally into the red and the white. But look at how nice that line is with this Sharpie. It's like a whole new world opened up to me with these Sharpies. Because I tried to do it with a brush, oh my God, and white paint. It just didn't have the same look. So I'm just kind of drawing this out, right? How cool is that? Get your grandkids involved, or your children, or your husband. And look, and you just start to draw a little house. And like with this one, I just started doodling. And you can just have fun with this. The only thing you have to be careful of is smearing it, because these do have to dry. Right? Like how cute is that? They're like little gingerbread houses. And I can just go up the same way. Now, I bet the fine points would be really beautiful too, especially if you do smaller houses. So I'm going to try to find those next. But look at that. It is Verla. Isn't that fun? I just had a blast with this. What time is it? Look, even with my absence while I was messing around my iPad, I have loads of time. So I still have time to show you how to finish these houses, because you do have to finish them. All right, I'm going to make the door down at the bottom. I'll show you how I did that. And being the perfectionist that I am, I did measure it. Like these are 4.5. So I just make a mark for 2 1/4. I know, Cheryl, this is fun. I really, it's like being a kid again with this kind of doodle drawing. I just make a line for the middle of the door. And then what I did with this one is I just hand drew a curve on either side. And to me, the more hand-drawn these look, the more sweet they are. And that's why I love the idea of having the grandkids doing this. And I just made a window on the top and split it. Put some little knobs on it. You can make more of these little, I don't know, what would we call those? But you could just go on and on and on, right? How sweet is that? So sophisticated, right? City mouse. And then we have Tammy, the country mouse. Tammy, I think, are you out in the country in Illinois? I don't know why I think of Illinois as being like a city. And Tammy is out there driving the combine in the fields. Shrubbery, yes, little shrubs. These are like little Valentine's houses with the red and the white. But yeah, you could turn them around, so take advantage of both sides. So now what I want to show you guys is how to finish these, because there's been lots of controversy in the Iron Orchid group. It's called, Joni, I think it's the Iron Orchid Tribe, about finishing them, because you have to either use a matte varnish, you know, a poly acrylic, like Miss Mustard Seed has one, Amy Howard has one, and I think I've tried 2 of the polys, and they were fine. I had no smearing or anything, but there have been some people who have used the Inlays, and they were finishing them, and they were smearing, and I haven't had that, and hopefully we won't have it now. So you're in the boonies in Illinois. Yeah, I'm in the boonies in Connecticut. And everybody's always shocked that we have tobacco farms in Connecticut. And I worked the tobacco farms as a kid. And man, let me tell you, I have great appreciation for farmers and people who work in the fields. So you're outside Peoria. Okay, Lori, so you're 2 hours from Tammy and you have woods, yeah, but 10 minutes from shopping. That's the good setup, right? You're in the woods, but you could get to shopping really quickly. All right, I love it. So this is my wet one still drying. We have to work now with the dry ones. So before you do finishing, these have to be bone dry, okay? That's what I have found. I've never had an issue with smearing. I've distressed them. I haven't had an issue with sanding them and then putting wax on them and then smearing. What I've done with all of them though, when I make these, is I let them dry really, really well before I start messing around with them. So I'll show you quickly how if I were going to distress them, which I don't want to, but I'll show you. Here's a sanding pad. It's a fine one. And I would just, I don't want to get the dust on these. You know, you could just smooth them out, or, you know, if you wanted to distress them a little, you just very gently sand them. And I use a sanding block. It's my preference. And then you just use like a microfiber cloth or a tack cloth to get the excess, you know, the paint dust off, right? So no smearing. Now we're going to wax. So I'm using some clear wax, natural bristle brush, always. And I always put my wax on a cardboard palette. I have these rules that keep me in line, so I don't want to get dust and stuff into my wax, because then when I go to wax like a beautiful white dresser and I'm putting the wax on and I start seeing like pink and orange, you know, dust, and it ruins my white finish. So I always just take my tongue depressor, pull up some of that clear wax and put that down like that. And this is Authentico clear wax. It's a beeswax carnauba blend. I love this wax. And I've got I call this brush the Beast, but I love it. So I just emulsify, right? Load up, kind of emulsify that wax. And then I just brush on the wax, right? And no smearing. You'll see the paint get a little bit darker. And this is exactly how, when I used the matte, like a matte sealer, a poly sealer, same thing. I had no issues. So with the Authentica wax, you brush it on, you leave it alone. That's it. You let it dry. You don't need to wipe it off or anything. So let's do the dark one here that I sanded. Right? Same thing. There's no smearing. So I think the people that maybe had an issue, I think it's because the paint might have been still a little bit damp. Because remember, we put that really, really thick coat of paint on. But look at how lush that is. So this is all I do to seal it, is I just brush that on. How much time do I have? Let me know if you guys have any questions. Any questions at all about this? Same thing. And I'm also going to show you, we'll test to see if I could seal the Sharpie. And that's it. You let these dry. You can buff them with an old white t-shirt. So give them a little shine. All right, Cheryl's saying, I want to use the inlays on a tabletop and then put resin. Oh, do you think that would be okay? I don't see why not. I have never used resin. I think Kim in our group has used resin, and Joni, you've used resin. So you know what I'm gonna do? I will find out, and then in the Painted Cottage where you're watching this now, I will let you know if anybody's done that. Can you dry the inlay with a heat gun? Carla's asking. You know, I've been tempted to do that because I use a blow dryer or a heat gun all the time. My issue with that is if you've ever dried paint, sometimes it makes a film right on top. You'll see the top is dry, but underneath is still wet. And that's why I don't use a heat gun. I just put down, like this one is almost dry. And remember that we did this at the beginning of my little workshop. So I might do a test of using a blow dryer or a heat gun, but I haven't done that yet. And again, the reason is there's so much moisture in there, it might be deceiving. The top might feel dry, but it might be wet underneath. And then the paint inlay didn't have enough time to really kind of get into that layer of paint. But I'll do a test and I'll post in here and see what happens. Oh, Joni, what are you saying yes to, the resin or the poly? You could definitely use a poly. I used a poly, a matte poly. It was beautiful. I did one coat of a matte poly on my inlays and they looked great. So Joni, let me know if you're talking about the resin or what was it? Resin? Yeah, it was, no, resin. What was the other thing? Now I forgot. Joni, let me know. Okay, so I did that. Now let's see if we can, because we have to seal our drawing too. Let's see how that is, because remember, the Sharpie is oil-based. Resin, yes. So Joni's saying you could totally do resin. And Joni, would that look great? How would that look? That would look beautiful, right? Like really shiny, like a boat deck. The heat gun. And Joni, have you used the heat gun? Jan's asking about that. So here I am putting wax on, and it's fine. Totally fine. So you could totally use wax with the Sharpies. You guys, let me know if you have any other questions. Jan is still asking about the heat gun. I have not used it, but I will totally give it a shot. I'll do a test and see how that works. And if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to let you guys go because you know who's going to be up next? It's Joni of Weathered Wings, and her little village is absolutely beautiful. So she's going to show us how she did that. I will also check the group to see if there's any other questions. You're dying, Furley, you're dying to get some houses. I know. I asked my husband, I go, Rick, I go, can't you just cut a whole bunch and we'll sell them as kits? And he just looked at me. Maybe I'll be able to get him to do that when we have some time. Oh, Beverly, Carla, thanks so much for joining me. I'm really sorry. Jen, I'm so glad you like that. I'm really sorry about my little technical issue, but you know, these things happen and I appreciate your patience. You could find me at surfaceanthology.com for shopping, for paints and all the other stuff. Go to chalkmercantile.com. Thanks you guys so much for watching. Stay for Joni because it's going to be fabulous. All right, see you soon. Have fun.